That was the last sound that everybody heard. Then they knew that World War III was over. The only problem is, now all the humans, they haven't seen the sun or the stars or even the sky. It's 2135. And this is the story of Kelsey. On this episode of Harford County Living with Rich Bennett, I am talking to a young lady who's been on before about a book she's written called The Gamble. And of course, it takes place in 2135. This is the first book in a series, and this was recorded back in October. So the second book is already out. So on this episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Catherine Jacques. Stay tuned. Now, in the past, you heard me talk about Joe Ayler and Tar Heel Construction Group. Now, I could go over again about how, they did my roof and everything is awesome. But I don't want to do that because you've heard me talk about that before. I want to tell you what else they provide. See, they're more than just a roofing company. Yeah, they provide roofing. They can take care of that. But they also do siding. You need windows. They do windows. They do residential doors, gutters, insulation services as well, and thermal imaging and chimney services. So basically everything for the outside to give you that, I guess you could say almost like the curb appeal. Tar Heel Construction Group does everything to make your house on the outside more beautiful than what it was before. And you need that new roof, they're there to take care of you. New windows, they're there to take care of you. Siding, doors, they are there to take care of you. Give them a call and tell them Rich from Harford County Living told you to call. 410-638-7021. Again, that's 410-638-7021. Or go to tarheelconstructiongroup.com.
Welcome to Harford County Living with Rich Bennett, coming to you from the Freedom Federal Credit Union studios. Each week, you'll hear interesting interviews, commentary, discussions, storytelling, and more. Here's your host, Marine Corps veteran, professional DJ, entrepreneur, podcaster, and my father, Rich Bennett.
I'd like to welcome everybody to Harford County Living with Rich Bennett. I have a guest on today who, wow, I can't believe it's been, 3 years, 4 years? It's been a while since she was on last time. But last time she was on, we talked about dancing, right? If I'm not mistaken, because she is a dancer, an actor, and a writer. And she has this is your first book?
It's the first one I've published.
Okay. She has just published her first book called The Gamble. We have Catherine Jacques on with us again. How you doing, Catherine?
Good. How are you?
Oh, keeping busy. Running around like a chicken with my head cut off. The Gamble. What is, because something with books, I haven't read it because when I talk to authors, I like to have them tell me about the book to make me want to read it. Because, I don't know, it seems like when people read the book and then they're talking to the author, it's just...
not quite the same.
Yeah, it's not. It's like the sales pitch or whatever is not there. But first of all, tell everybody, about yourself for those that didn't listen the last time.
I am a Baltimore native. I went to Towson University. I was a professional ballet dancer for a little bit. I now teach ballet as my full-time profession. I've done a little bit of TV and film acting on the side. And while sitting on set, because there's a lot of downtime on set, I started just randomly writing whatever. And a few years ago, I actually wrote an entire series, which I never published. And then The Gamble started, the idea started. And I've now published the first book. I'm about to finish the second and starting to work on the third.
Now, is The Gamble part of this series you were writing?
It's not part of the original first series that I wrote.
Okay.
It's a series of its own, but it's the first book in a trilogy.
But you're going to go back to that original series, aren't you?
We'll see. I like the idea, but it needs a lot of work.
Well, that's okay. I mean, you got downtime, right?
This is true.
I mean, as long as the kids are sleeping, You're fine.
sleeping. I have a baby. They don't sleep.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, so the gamble, you started writing that, what, after?
After the first series that I wrote.
After the first series. How long did the gamble take you to write?
The one book took me, just to write the first draft, probably about 3 months.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And then editing and beta readers and more editing. And then I pitched it to a literary agent, which I signed with the agent. We tried to get through traditional publishing, and that just really didn't go as planned. It's really complicated, and they don't want to take on authors that have never published before.
Yeah.
So I kind of put it aside for a little bit, and then during quarantine, I had not a whole lot of anything else better to do. So I was like, you know what, why don't I just self-publish? Like, let me look into this and see what this is. So I ended up using Amazon, which was super simple. And I didn't expect much of it. I figured if I sold 50 copies, I'd be happy. And now I'm at almost 300 copies sold. And
this just came out, right?
Mid-June, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one thing I got to say, because you hear a lot of people talk bad about Amazon, but I believe Amazon is a beginning author's best friend.
It is.
Because, well, you know, trying to get published, it's hard. And I've had authors on here before, Danny Petrie, prime example, and she talked about, because she would go to the conventions, and she talked about how some of these publishers are just nasty.
They are. They are.
And you have to be able to take criticism. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. So what is the gamble about?
It's the first in a teen and young adult dystopian trilogy, so it kind of airs more into the sci-fi realm.
Okay.
And having us all just come through quarantine, if you can kind of imagine being trapped in your house, but to like an extreme level. So you have never been outside ever in your entire life. You've never seen the sun. You've never seen the stars. You've never even breathed fresh air.
Like the boy in the plastic bubble or whatever.
Similar, but even worse than that.
Oh.
So my main character, her name is Kelsey. She is one of 50,000 people left on the planet. And due to World War III and extreme radiation, they have been living in a subterranean city for the last century. And obviously space is limited and resources are very limited. So in order to control the population, they've instituted what's called the gamble. And each year, people are selected at random and executed to control the population.
Almost like, what's that one movie, The Purge or something? Well, no.
I've never watched that particular
either have I.
movie.
I'm afraid to.
I got the idea from Shirley Jackson's short story, The Lottery, that I read in middle school.
Okay.
It's kind of a similar premise, but it was a very short story. So I kind of took that idea and expanded on it. So somebody that Kelsey loves ends up getting chosen for the gamble, and obviously she just sort of spirals into this self-destructive depression and decides that, you know, she's going to go to the surface. She wants to see the sky, and even if it kills her, that's all she wants. And through the whole process, she starts to discover all these different lies that her family had been involved in, you know, the world that she lives in, and it kind of just, you know, everything that she believes starts to fall apart.
Right. Holy cow. This sounds like a movie.
Hey, I can hope. That'll put the kids through college, won't it?
And this is the first in a series.
Yes.
Okay, so, and this took you 3 months to write, and which looks like a pretty thick book. How many?
About 80,000 words, which is on the shorter end. Usually novels in this genre are around 80 to 100,000 words.
80,000 words, and that's a short one?
Yeah.
Okay, now I know why I'm not a writer.
It's a
wow.
lot.
And you have so this is the first book in a series that you're working on.
Yes.
Can you well, no, we can't. So how does Kelsey do?
She survives the end of the first one.
Okay, so she is going to be in the second one.
She is in the second one.
Okay.
I'm working on the third, and I haven't figured that one out yet.
Well, which is good because it's an ongoing story.
Yeah, but you feel like I should know the ending to my own story, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Well, that's okay. I mean, and the thing is, talking to other authors, and you've already said you went through several different edits, right?
This was version 27 when I finally put it up on Amazon.
All right. So the things that you originally started, how many times have they changed?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's, and I've heard this a lot with other authors. They'll be writing a book, that book gets published, and then they realize, oh, no, I should have done something else with this character. So don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, you're saying 3, but there could be 4 or 5.
Oh, God. I hope I'm done at 3.
Hopefully the quarantine's not going to last that long
This is
either.
true. This is true. Hopefully we don't have to go backward on that.
I mean, jeez. All right, so they can find it on Amazon. You have a website as well, right?
Yes.
And what's the website?
That's a good question. I think it's katherinejacques.baltimore.com. I usually use social media more. So I'm on Facebook. My Instagram is katherine.jacques. I don't generally... I have a website because publishers want to see it, but I can't remember the last time I actually looked at it.
But the book's on there, right?
The book you can buy through Amazon.
There's links, so the book's not on the website?
There's links from the website to the book on Amazon, but it's not for sale through the website.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Amazon won't allow me to sell elsewhere right now.
Right. What? Huh?
You have 2 options. So you can either do just a regular, like, publishing on Amazon through their KDP program. That's what it's called.
Right.
If you want to sell it elsewhere, like if I want to self-publish through Barnes & Noble or Ingram Sparks or other things, I can, but then I lose certain benefits through Amazon.
Really?
Whereas if I do their KDP Select, I can be on like Kindle Unlimited, where people who have Kindle Unlimited can read for free, which helps me get some more sales in. And then I also get like higher royalties and things like that.
Now, how does that work? If somebody reads it through Kindle Unlimited for free?
They pay a monthly fee.
Okay.
And they can read any books on Kindle Unlimited for that monthly fee.
But how do you get paid for it?
They as the pages get read, they give me a
so
percentage.
it's by pages read on the Kindle.
Yeah, so if somebody reads all the way through the whole book, I'll get my normal royalties.
Okay, all right. So they can buy it only through Amazon, and of course I'll have a link for it on the in the show notes on this as well. Sure. I didn't realize that though. Interesting.
Yeah, it's nice that they give you options. Some places don't give you options.
Well, now that you said that, because with the book of the month, I thought I had your book on the website.
You had it up there at one point.
It might not be on my website though.
Oh, okay.
Because I go through a thing called bookshop.org.
Okay.
Which goes by I'm going to get it wrong, the ISBN number or whatever.
Yeah, it's the little thing on the back.
Yeah, okay, if that's exclusive to Amazon, that means it won't show up on bookshop.org, which means I might have to
Probably
just change
won't,
that a little bit.
We can check. It might send a link to Amazon. I don't know how that one works.
I'll find out, because it seems like you can buy any book on Amazon.
Pretty much, yeah.
No matter what.
Pretty much.
So, geez. And how much does a book cost on Amazon, do you know?
There's an ebook, which is $1.99, and then the paperback is $11.
That's it?
Yeah, I tried to keep it low just to encourage sales, because no one knows who I am.
Now, I know a lot of authors that have, and since this is your first book, you may not have done it yet, but like the book signings, have you scheduled any, which is, I know, kind of hard because it's got to be virtual, but...
I would like to. I really don't want to do the virtual. I'm really kind of virtualed out.
Right. I think a lot of us are.
I think most people are. So what I'm probably going to do, depending on how this year goes, is reach out to some of the local high schools first and do book signings there, and also to talk with the students about the process. When I was starting, even just to find a literary agent, I had absolutely no idea. I didn't even know that was a thing until I approached a publisher, and they wouldn't even speak to me because I didn't have an agent. So I felt like kind of an idiot.
Right.
So even just to go to the high schools and talk about the process, if you want a traditional publish, if you want to self-publish, if you need to find an editor, the whole thing, so that they have that knowledge should any of them choose to go that route.
Did you expect any of this when you started?
God, no. I seriously did it just to pass time on set. I didn't think I was going to publish anything ever.
But, I mean, it was a challenge. I mean, if you're already working on the second one, there's something about it that you love.
I mean, I've always enjoyed reading and writing,
right,
but I didn't intend to share. I was just doing it, to say I wrote a book. And then I wrote a book, and I was like, well, let's see if I can get a publisher. And, I managed to get an agent, which was hard enough. And then I was like, well, let's see if anybody even buys this thing.
Sound like my daughter. That's serious, because she loves writing, and we had they did a creative workshop up here at the Lions Clubhouse, and two authors, the one I was telling you about, Kelly White and Molly Larson's, sat with the group of, there's so many girls. None of the guys wanted to partake in it.
I know. You can't get guys to do anything.
And I was kicked out. But each person had to bring, I guess, so many words of something they have written.
Oh, nice.
They had written, which my daughter did. My daughter would never let me read any of her stuff.
Sounds
never.
about right.
And she's been writing since, I think, elementary school. So when they were done, I asked Kelly and Molly about my daughter. I said, well, what do you think? They said, Richie, let her keep writing.
Good.
I said, I encourage her to write. They said, if she finishes a manuscript, we can see it being published.
Nice.
I was like, really? They created a monster.
Well, I'm sure.
Because now my daughter's constantly telling us about her stories.
Aww.
But she won't let me read it. And I keep telling her, I said, Grace, don't tell me about it. Write it down. When you finish, then let me read it. I can't. It's hard for me to, when she's trying to tell me the whole story, the different characters, I'm getting lost. If I could read it, it's like, okay, who's that one? She goes, I told you about it already. It's like, okay. But with what you just said about going to the high schools and everything, one of the things I've been wanting to do, and then of course COVID hit, I want to do an author showcase and workshop to where I'll have different local authors come in. We'll rent a hall, of course. And so they can do book signings, they can sell their books, but we'll also have workshops, which sounds like something that you would want to do with the high school.
Yeah, I teach ballet, so I love teaching, and I love working with middle and high school students, especially in things that are creative, dance, acting, books, whatever.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't write a book about ballet.
A lot of people have told me to, but I don't know. I like other things than just ballet.
Well, you know what? Kelsey could become a ballet dancer that goes rogue or something.
Not in the world she's living in. I don't think ballet would be heavily supported.
But yeah, you're not teaching. Or no, you're still teaching ballet,
yes.
But you're not doing ballet.
I'm not performing anymore now.
No.
Yeah, I'm 36 years old. I've had 2 kids. I'm too old for that.
Oh, please.
My knees hurt. My back hurts.
All right, that part I can understand. Definitely, without a doubt, I've been through not the ballet, but the knees hurting and the back hurting also. Anything else you want to add about the gamble?
I'm planning to have pre-orders for the second book out. I want to say the second week in November. I'm waiting on my cover art. Yeah, and then I'm hoping to release the second one after the new year.
So you're almost finished the second one already.
It's written. I'm just editing, and I have my cover artist working on the cover art now.
Holy cow. You haven't been wasting any time.
I had to have the second one finished to pitch to publishers for the first.
So I guess this is another positive thing that has come from COVID.
Yeah, sitting at home and not doing much for 3 months.
Yeah, you can sit there and write. That's actually pretty good. Now, back in high school, you didn't write, right? You weren't on the write for the school newsletter or anything?
Not really.
Like that?
I mean, I did a little bit of stuff here and there, but I didn't finish anything.
Okay, so when did you actually decide, I want to write? Or at least I want to give it a shot?
It was before my first daughter was born, after we got married, so maybe 6 years ago. And I was sitting on set and I was bored. And it was like 2 a.m. because that's just how acting goes sometimes. And so a lot of people were asleep. So I just pulled out my laptop, and it was the idea for the first series that I wrote that I haven't done anything with. And I just wrote. And then after a couple months, I was like, oh, I have a book. And I was like, and I don't feel like the idea is done yet. So then I had a second one, and then a third one. And I had a whole completed series. And then I was like, maybe I could do more. So then I started thinking about, I don't even know where the inspiration for the gamble came from. It was so long ago at this point. But then I started writing that one, and then that one was finished, and then the second one was finished. And I was like, never thought I could do this.
And surprise, there you are.
I know.
And you put out the one. Now, and with the gamble, okay, so you don't know where the inspiration came from, but and you only wrote it in 3 months. Mm-hmm. So on average, how many were you writing every day?
At that point, I didn't have children yet, so I had a little more free time. And my goal was to write for at least an hour a day. And even if the next day I deleted it all because it was garbage, at least I did it. And my head was in it and in the process.
You deleted some of it?
Oh, I deleted lots. I probably deleted almost as many words as I wrote.
Some of the stuff you deleted, do you wish you had back?
No, and I keep old versions if I need
Okay.
to, if I need to go back. That's so like version 27 is what I published, but I have all 27 versions sitting on my computer.
That's good.
I mean, some of it just, you get an idea or you get a chapter and then you realize that you kind of wrote yourself into a wall and you don't really know where to go next. So then you backtrack. Honestly, sometimes the characters take on a life of their own. Some of, I'm going through and they're developing this personality and then, or a relationship with someone or whatever. And then all of a sudden I'm like, they need to go do this thing that I had never planned for them to do. Or, it's the story's progressing in this completely different direction than I had
Right.
originally planned simply because of the way the characters have developed.
So when you sat down to start writing, do you do like an outline first?
No. I
No?
should. Most
Well,
authors do.
but everybody's different too.
Yeah, it's just not. I mean, even with dance, when I choreograph, it's just not the way my brain works. I'll
Okay.
go in with ideas, but I need the material. Like,
Right.
so when I'm choreographing, I need the space. I need my dancers. I can't just do it at home in my living room with my cats. And it was the same way with writing. I could sit here and spend all my time doing an outline, and then I start writing, and it doesn't even. I forget the
Right.
outline.
Now, and I've seen people write like they'll, and I don't know if you write this way, they'll write chapter 1, chapter 2, so they're going in chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen other people where they'll write something you think is chapter 1, then they'll write something else which could be in chapter 5. So it's like they're
It's that
everywhere.
mix. Yes, that's how I work.
okay. So something you write in chapter, think it could be chapter 1, could be chapter 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the ending of The Gamble was written by the time I gotten up to chapter 5. I had a
Okay.
really solid idea of what I wanted the ending to be. Some of the characters changed from my original idea, but the ending stayed the same. And it's got a pretty nice cliffhanger.
I was just going to ask you that. Does it end with
I gotta
a
get people to buy the
cliffhanger?
next book.
Exactly. I was getting ready to ask you that because a lot of people, I mean, if it ends and you don't want more, you're not going to buy the second book.
The biggest thing that I've gotten on my positive reviews is like, I need this next book. I have to know what happens. How could you end it that way? I'm going to tell you right now, the ending of the second book, you're not going to be much happier. Big
Now,
cliffhanger at the end of that one.
I was going to say, so did some of that idea and some of the other things in there come from the acting part in you?
Some of it, yeah. I think because
Okay.
I'm just so used to storytelling through ballet and acting, and especially with acting because you're so focused on developing a character and dialogue and setting a scene, so much of that you use in a book because I
Right.
have to get the reader to visualize what's in my brain.
In a good book, people can do that.
I hope so. A lot of people have said that that's how The Gamble is working for them. Most people tend to finish it within 2 days of opening it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
somebody, I wouldn't have even expected him to buy it. It was somebody that I acted with forever ago and I haven't spoken to in years. But he messaged me and he's like, I brought your book. He's like, and it wasn't really my thing. He's like, I'm a 50-year-old man and, young adult teen stuff isn't really what I gravitate towards. And he's like, I read it just to support you. And he's like, by the third chapter, I was hooked. He's like, I stayed up until 3:00 in the morning to finish the book.
Wow. But you know what? And that's good because I'm the same way. I don't, which is why I like to talk to authors because then I'm inspired to read the book.
Mm-hmm.
And when you read it, there are some of these books I've read. It's like I had a young gentleman on. Well, he's older than me. Young gentleman still on, and he was telling me before I even opened the book, he was telling me what inspired him to write it. And he had his father's diary. His father was
nice.
a tail gunner, I think he said, in World War II in
Wow.
a B-52 bomber. Life expectancy of a tail gunner back then was 6 missions. His father flew 26 missions. So when his father died, he had his father's diary. His father never talked about this stuff.
I'm sure.
And he himself served in Vietnam. So he's written a trilogy, and the character is based upon his father and him.
Nice.
It's like, ooh, I got to read this already.
Yeah.
But yet I had another one, Danny Petrie, who writes this. She writes romance mystery novels, which most guys do not read that
Right.
stuff. But what she's telling me about is like, and she gave me some of the books. Oh, man, are they good? Like, yes. Okay, guys, listening, I did read them, and yes, they are good. So, trust me, you would like them too. believe it.
Yeah,
So,
I think people get so set in what they know they like, so they keep gravitating towards that. I mean, books, movies, everything.
you have to open up your mind.
Yeah, sometimes you have to step out of your box a little bit.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know if you ever heard of the Harford Writers Group.
I've heard of them. I can't remember why I heard of them, though.
There's writers groups throughout Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
but the Harford Writers Group is a bunch of different authors, publishers, and all that. And what they do is they'll critique each other's work, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
You need that. But some of the stories that I just had a guy on the other day who wrote one, what's The Legend of Indian Stream, which Indian Stream is a real place in New Hampshire, or it's, what do you say, between New Hampshire and Quebec.
Oh, wow.
And there was a town there, and back in the, I think, early 1800s, the United States was taxing the town, and Quebec was taxing the town.
Of course.
So they had enough, and they became their own little country.
Oh, wow.
I never
heard of that.
But
yeah.
that part is true.
Huh.
But his book is a sci-fi about going back in time during the battle with today's weapons and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But he also, him and a couple people from the Harford Writers Group all got together and wrote, I think he said it was like a comic book series. You're going to love the name of this. Old Farts in Space. Which is about older people. I was like, okay.
Sounds like something my husband
just
would
the
probably
title
enjoy.
itself, I'm
Got
ready
it.
to read it. But I was cracking up. All right, so since this is your first book, and with your background in ballet and acting and everything like that, for the young people listening, what bit of advice can you give them?
You have to be honest with yourself, both with what your capabilities are today, and then also recognizing that you can do better. I think that's the hardest thing, especially for teens to understand. Especially in the social media world where, they see so-and-so on Instagram with 2 million followers, and they think that you just wake up one morning and things happen. Especially with teaching, the biggest thing I'm trying to instill in them is that you can work your hardest today and it might not be good enough for your goals. That doesn't mean you're never going to reach your goals.
Right.
You have to kind of self-reflect and say, was this my best? Yes or no? What can I do better anyway? And how am I going to get there? And once you understand that, you can do anything.
I want to thank Catherine for coming on the podcast. And please make sure you get her book. I'll actually have links for them in the show notes. So the first one, The Gamble. The second one, which is out now, The Choice. And the third one, Redemption. Well, I'll let you know when that comes out. Actually, I'm hoping to have Catherine back on again so she can talk about her second book, The Choice, and the third one, Redemption, when that is finished. So, God, again, you got to get the books. Find out what happened to Kelsey. Few things that I would like to remind you all about. Number one, please, 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 please leave a review of the podcast. All you have to do is go to lovethepodcast.com/Harco Living. Again, that's lovethepodcast.com/Harco Living. And while you're at it, if you can, please buy me a coffee. That's right, buy me a coffee. Well, you're not really buying me a coffee. You're making a donation so I can keep this podcast going. Yeah, it's because of you and my sponsors that I'm allowed. Well, I'm not allowed. I'm able to keep this podcast going. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot more that you can even imagine. So just go to buymeacoffee.com/Harco Living. Again, that's buymeacoffee.com/Harco Living. And it's that time again. That's right. I am giving away a $25 gift card to Route 24 Ale House. The winner's going to be chosen on Wednesday, March 17th, my father's favorite holiday, St. Patrick's Day. And all you have to do is leave a review of the podcast. And you know where to go to do that. lovethepodcast.com/Harco Living. So leave a review. I'm going to pick one person at random. That person will get a $25 gift card to Route 24 Ale House, where you can go and enjoy a kickin' bourbon burger, which is out of this world. Wings have to be the best wings around, and all types of different beer on tap. So again, just leave a review, and good luck. March 17th, we're going to have the winner.